Times now has blown the lid off the entire cover-up over the Ishrat Jahan case with not one but three news breaks. Rajendra Kumar, former IB officer, G.K. Pillai, former Home Secretary, and RVS Mani, the former Under Secretary in the Home Department. We are now joined by Finance Minister Arun Jaitley, who as leader of opposition had taken up this entire issue in not one but several occasions and also written 2 blogs on it. Mr. Arun Jaitley, the entire Ishrat Jahan case now seems to be a cover-up. It's very clear from the deposition made by Rajendra Kumar, G.K. Pillai as well as RVS Mani that people were tortured even to make a change in the affidavits.
There is a larger issue. Can a government in power at the center, that's the UPA government, compromise with national security? Can a government ever be a threat to national security? I regret to say that the UPA was. Here is a group about which the IB purportedly had information that they are entering India. They are reaching a particular state. It was a complete operation of our intelligence agencies. It was a successful operation. Now, years later, some wise man in the government thinks that it's a political opportunity. Now, what are the steps they took in order to enter into a conspiracy to fabricate a case? There was an existing affidavit of the Home Ministry that this was an LET, these were LET activists. At the first available opportunity, you change the affidavit. And the change is made at a level higher than that of the Home Secretary. There are not too many people above him. The second, David Hadley's statement to the FBI is physically censored and the reference to the LET is removed. Who did it?
Are you hinting at somebody? You said some wise man in the government. Are you talking about the then Home Minister P. Chidambaram?
That's for you to guess. Thirdly, when the Gujarat High Court constitutes the SIT was supposed to have one officer from the central government. Why is it that the composition of the SIT was repeatedly changed? The first officer appointed by the central government, who was extremely independent, is transferred to the northeast. They make it physically impossible for him to chair the SIT. The second officer recuses himself because he probably felt pressures were being put. The third officer, and contemporaneous evidence would be available of how his arm twisting took place in order to get him to agree to a fabricated report. The next step.
Is the government in possession of that contemporaneous evidence of arm twisting?
Somebody researches. Since I worked on it independently at that time, I'm aware of these facts. The next step. How is the Home Ministry concerned with the functioning of the CBI? The CBI doesn't come under the Home Ministry. It's supposed to be independent. Was the director being called repeatedly and asked to continue with a particular officer in the SIT who could do a frame up? And then you get a CBI inquiry or an investigation into the functioning of the IB. The covert operations of a security intelligence agency are made public and made bare.
Are you saying the then UPA government actually played around with the intelligence framework of this country?
Obviously, the Intelligence Bureau's functioning with regard to a covert operation, and that is when I wrote a blog in the opposition to protect the security apparatus when I said, should the CBI be investigating the IB? Are you compromising national security? It didn't end there. Obviously, when the encounter took place, there were some officers who were physically present in the encounter. The CBI arrested all of them. It consciously did not file a charge sheet within 90 days. So those officers were let out on bail. Even though they were physically present there, a bail was enabled for them. That's a default bail. They were then asked to make statements under Section 164 against senior political leaders of the Gujarat government. And then those officers were not even named in the charge sheet.
Are you referring to GL Singhal?
So the officers who were pressurized by arresting them because they were physically present, and then they were asked to make a statement, and if you now recollect your 2 or 3-year-old memories, you'll remember it was much being touted on friendly news channels that such an officer has given a statement that we have instructions from the white beard or the black beard. We all knew who they were referring to. It is unheard of in criminal law.
So you're saying this is connected to the Snoop Gate as well?
It is unheard of in criminal law that an accused becomes a witness against an alleged co-accused. So since they had no evidence, that's the only one they could fabricate. And ultimately, it didn't end with that. When I understand, if somebody looks up the files, a senior officer of the CBI who was pushing for this prosecution during the period running up to the 2014 election was then awarded with a position in the disaster management department of the government for obliging them in this investigation. So now if you see the sum total of the facts, you change an affidavit, you censor a paragraph of the FBI, you bring pressures on the SIT, it had to be reconstituted 3 times. You have the Home Ministry interfering in a CBI investigation. You get the CBI to unbear and open out the covert operations of a security intelligence agency, the IB. And then you have friendly bails being granted to certain people who were actually involved in the encounter in a quid pro quo that they should name political leaders. This is what was going on. And I do hope that now, you see, the strength of truth is that you can't indefinitely hold it back. Officers with a conscience are speaking out, and ultimately, every word of what I had written in my blogs in the year 2013, each fact is now being corroborated.
Mr. Jaitley, Mr. P. Chidambaram, the then Home Minister, has said that the first affidavit was ambiguous and that is why a second affidavit was filed to bring out the clarity, and that's why a second affidavit was given. A second affidavit which deleted reference to LET operatives.
To say the first affidavit was not ambiguous, it was as clear as daylight. The second affidavit was fraudulent.
Sonia Gandhi has said today that she stands by what Mr. P. Chidambaram says. Are you seeing this as some sort of a conspiracy which had the okay of the top bigwigs of the Congress party?
I have no reason to believe anything other than what I have said. The facts that the series of facts that I have said make out a perfect case of how a concoction was taking place. This has been a tradition of this political party. After all, didn't they cook up fake bank accounts against VP Singh when they saw a possible threat in VP Singh becoming a future Prime Minister? That happened in 1988-89. There it was a case of a fake bank account in his son's name, which Congress leaders had it opened in St. Kitts. But this was a case where they were trying to fabricate a case of murder in this manner. This is the extent to which the Congress party can stoop.
Mr. Jaitley, the fake encounter is the only issue that the Congress party now says. They say that prove the fact that this was not a fake encounter, and that's where the truth of this entire case lies. Do you think
if the encounter was an honest encounter, or was a fake encounter, as the Congress party says, and not an honest encounter, then why did they allow those officers involved in the actual shootout to get bail on the 90th day and make them a witness?
My last question to you, Mr. Jaitley, is the fact that RVS Money has gone on record and said that cigarette butts were used to actually torture him to sign on the dotted line, and he's the man who's actually given a complaint at that time in 2013 to the Urban Development Ministry. Do you think when you are in government, you would want the opening of the Ishrat Jahan files?
I can only quote from my own blogs of 2013, where I had said, governments are not immortal, they change. And officers who are indulging in this will one day have to answer many questions. I had further said that I hope one day a commission of inquiry is set up to go into the functioning of the CBI in this case. This I had written in 2013.
But now you're in government. Are you saying that a commission of inquiry is something that should be called in now?
Well, I have nothing more to say than quote my own blog.
That was the Finance Minister Arun Jaitley setting the record straight on the Ishrat Jahan cover-up that we've been chasing relentlessly on Times Now. This is the first official statement coming in from the government. We'll have to wait and watch whether the government does set up a commission of inquiry to reopen the Ishrat Jahan files. Navika Kumar in New Delhi for Times Now.